This is a sticky one. Is it just me, or is it everyone out there? Is everyone overseas at the moment? We're going to talk about this morning when there's so much pain with interest rates and across the market, and then you see overseas travel. Are things as bad as we thought? Maybe not. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about some stats.
Good morning.
Michael SILJIC, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We're going to the farm.
I know, it's very exciting. It's not a European vacation, but it's still very exciting.
Watch out. This Sunday, the farm boys are out from Novak together. We're going to Michael's farm, so it's pretty cool. But at the moment, it's probably the topic on everyone's mind. I certainly know it comes up in a lot of conversations I have in the office and out of the office, and it's about overseas travel. And it feels like everyone is overseas at the moment. We're head down, bum up, and there's some good merits for it. And I've been poking these people that are overseas and not overseas, and seeing what the responses are, which we're going to share today.
Yeah, it's interesting to say. And look, I guess we all forget as well sometimes, this time of year traditionally has always been when the most people go overseas to Europe, or to go escape our winter and go enjoy someone else's summer.
Is it?
School holidays are now, so this is when everyone goes because the kids are off school holidays. So it's off school. I
would have thought Christmas would have been, but I think it's the whole European summer thing this time of year, eh?
Yeah, for mid-year. And that's the thing. Christmas traditionally is probably the biggest one, but outside of that, any other time in the year, it's this time in the middle of the year that people take those sort of mid-year holidays, the ones that do.
Now, I've found out some data from a travel company. In 2018-19, you were booking a UK ticket for as cheap as $14.59 a ticket. That ticket, if you can find it, is now $2,600 just for the airfare. Times that by 4 in a family, you're up 4 after tax. You're at about 6 or 7 just to pay for your airfares.
Yeah, it's insanely expensive now. Well, and that's the thing. That's off the back of COVID with it all, because no one was traveling during COVID, and now everyone, it seems to be, wants to go traveling at the same time again. And it's all gone more expensive. Hotels, airfares, everything. Inflation in general.
It's I read that with the airfares, the major contributor to the airfares is fuel and labour.
That makes sense.
Which sort of that's what they're blaming, and it makes sense. Now, Michael, who do you know that's gone overseas?
A couple of people. My sister's overseas. She's in Europe at the moment, but a few friends that I know are not overseas yet, but are planning to go overseas, as in they've planned and they're going to be overseas within the next sort of month or two. And a lot of these guys as well that I've spoken to, they haven't been overseas for the past, since COVID. So for a lot of people as well, this is sort of their first holiday they've taken, proper holiday they've taken since COVID as well. So this could almost be sometimes a little bit of a build-up of, yes, people took holidays the second they were able to when the borders opened. But for a lot of people as well, I think what maybe was traditionally a holiday year that they did, they haven't taken the past couple of years because of COVID. They've saved, and then this is the year.
And don't forget that in America and in Europe, a lot of borders were open. Lisa said she spoke to an Eastern Suburbs agent yesterday. He said the handful of staff in the office, the rest were in Europe.
Yeah.
Lisa Kramer, a lot of agents I'm chatting to are saying their heads are in Greece. Yep. I think you're right. I think there's been a pressure cooker. America and Europe are most part of COVID had their borders open. Australia did not. We locked ourselves away. So there's definitely a pressure cooker there. I think what really gets up people's minds is that the media, the last 3 to 6 to 9 months, has been a lot about interest rates.
Yes.
Has been a lot about affordability with rentals, with rising costs of living, with inflation. The media's been having an absolute frenzy, and then individually, people have actually done the complete opposite by going overseas on a nice holiday, which is a luxury. So I think even if the stats are that people aren't traveling more, it just feels like more because it's so counter. It's sort of the opposite of exactly what we've been reading, then believing in the last 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
Now, there's always the media that says, look, people have saved more than ever through COVID. There's always the media that says people have saved a lot at a 2% interest rate. There's always the media that says, that 25% of the last purchases in New South Wales had no mortgage.
Yeah.
25% of purchases had no mortgage. So, and then it makes you sort of wonder about that mortgage cliff. Is it as bad as it's going to be, as you think, when there's this many people overseas? Hey, maybe it's not that bad for everyone.
Well, this is the thing, and we sort of touched on it in previous topics in the past, and the idea of transfer of wealth. When interest rates go up, it does not mean that every single individual is struggling because of it. A lot of people do, and that's people that hold debt, because obviously the debt is more expensive. For someone that is not holding debt, either A, they might be renting, and yes, it's gone up more, but they've decided we don't want to invest in a mortgage. We've actually got all of our money in other assets that are generating income for us. Or for someone maybe that's retired, that's consolidated their debt. People that do not have debt at the moment, and this is probably not spoken about as much in the media, are doing it the best they've done it in the past couple of years in terms of their returns on their investments. And so what you might find is there's a lot of these people that these might be the guys that are going overseas at the moment. And potentially as well in terms of this more interest rate cliff, and obviously slightly off topic to people going overseas, but as agents, we're seeing a lot of buyers come through properties. And of course, no one's going to tell us their exact financial situation. But if you're out looking to buy a property in this market at the moment with the way interest rates are, you must be in a somewhat strong financial position. And why people are in that position, I'd be curious to know. And what you might find is these interest rate mortgage cliffs that are so-called going to be coming up or have been happening. Even if someone has to sell, and I've seen it happen time and time again, when we have an owner that maybe wants to sell more, they're more motivated than other vendors, it still gets eaten up by the demand. If there's enough buyers that want to buy good property, even if an owner would take a cheaper price, the market will still dictate it. And if there's enough people still out there looking to buy throughout the course of the year, irregardless of how much people need to sell, it's still going to hold those prices buoyant. So I think there's just been a bit of a shift, a bit of a transfer. Of course, the media is always going to sort of back the side of the battler, and it makes sense. But I think there's the unspoken bit of people that are actually doing all right at the moment, but it's a bit more taboo to talk about.
Lisa Kramer says, haven't seen the effect of interest rates and rate rises in the East yet. It's true. But Michael, I think let's be brutal about this. Some people deserve the holidays. They've been working like absolute dogs. They've been saving like fiends, and they just got to do it for their family. Let's be brutal about this. Australian travel is goddamn expensive. Shouldn't say that, so I'll take that back. Goddamn. It's really expensive to take a trip in Australia. Domestic flights, all the cheapy flights are gone, taken up. And if you want to travel if you want to get an Airbnb or you want to get a hotel room around Australia, you are going to get walloped. So it starts to make the overseas stuff more attractive when the domestic stuff is so expensive. And it really is to get to rock around Australia, even if you're jumping in a car with fuel costs and jumping in a plane or whatever it is, it's expensive. So I guess it lends itself out to doing some of these overseas trips to make them sometimes more economical than the domestic trip.
Yeah, and also I've seen a lot of people have pivoted with their lifestyle as well. And these, once again, might be the people that are the ones that are still going overseas. There's a lot of people that probably can their holidays from this. But there are people overseas. So we're just trying to, for you guys that are just tuned in, talking about why everyone's going overseas at the moment. We're just trying to sort of knuckle down.
It's doing my head in. It's doing my head in.
We're exploring ideas why. Why are people doing it? Another idea that I thought of, and I know a lot of clients are doing this, people that are in the rental market at the moment, I'm speaking to a lot of people that are renting as well, that go, traditionally maybe before rents obviously went up the crazy way that they did, let's say maybe 5 years plus ago, if you went out to go rent, you go rent by yourself. You go rent an apartment with your partner, or you go rent an apartment as an individual, and then you go rent it. Versus I know a lot of people now, rents have obviously gone up a lot, 20, 30%, but they're going, okay, I'm going to go rent a 2-bedroom apartment. I'm going to go share it with a flatmate. All of a sudden, your rental cost has completely halved, and you can keep your lifestyle. Yes, your lifestyle at home is a little bit different because you're living with someone, but now your lifestyle in terms of holidays, everything else, you probably keep the same. So I think people are...
So they've consolidated their costs in a lot of other areas in their local life, and they're rewarding themselves.
Aussies love travel. If they can, they will.
And I got to share a story I had yesterday with a friend. We were talking about another friend, which was a builder. So he's sold 2 investment properties. Like he's had a great building company for a lot of years. Fell into hard times. Sold 2 investment properties and has now gone on a 6-week European holiday. So a guy that in business it's been trying and very, very hard, instead of doubling down and working harder, he sold his 2 investment properties and went overseas for 6 weeks rather than just laying low. Now, I think we've got to be careful on this, because there's the financial side of it, and the fiscal side of it, and there's the mental side of it. And I think for this guy's mental health, fantastic. He's spending time with his family. He's relaxing his brain. He's going to come back stronger. Where one person may think, "What the hell are you doing that for? You've just sold 2 investment properties and business is crap the last year. You're against the wall to taking a holiday for 6 weeks in Europe." Like, Rich, to him, it's his life. He's worked 20 or 30 years for these investment properties, and he's taken a break with his fam. So, there's all these different aspects that we can look at.
Yeah, and that sort of lines up also with what I'm seeing. There's a lot of our investors that are selling, a lot of your investors in general that are selling properties at the moment, because that's the thing that people are selling first. You're not going to sell the family home first when times get tougher. You're going to sell off the discretionary spending, and then you're going to sell off the investments first before you move the family. So, yeah, we are starting to see that a bit as well, and what people choose to do with that money, because normally if you're selling off an investment, that's a bit of a lump sum normally coming your way. What you choose to do with that, it's very interesting.
And that's a show. That's what we're thinking, and that's what we're seeing in relation to holidays in Australia. I hope it's a similar sentiment to what other people are thinking out there. Michael, thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And very curious, guys, anyone that has opinions as well, why they think people are doing it as well at the moment, please pop it in the comments even after the live. I'd be very curious. Mark and I always read through them just to understand what people think, why this is happening as well.
It's so counterintuitive when you deal with rising costs and interest rates and stuff, and then you look at this overseas. 1/3 of people cannot afford overseas travel at the moment. They're the stats. 27% can't afford to buy an air ticket. So I think that, it's interesting. Interesting times.
That's it. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, mate. Take care.